Wow. We are back for a very, very special episode. Episode 80 of the Grunge Bible Podcast. My name is Ethan Shallow. I'm sitting here with Chris Salona, a special guest, Adam Pellicciotti. We're in Long Beach, California tonight. We've been in Los Angeles for the last few nights. We've been on the road, and we have had just an incredible week, and we are here to talk just live music, Taylor Hawkins Tribute Show. We're very excited. Chris, I'm just super excited. We're going to go ahead and talk about the patrons because we have a lot of people to thank. We have a lot of episode to get to, but how you doing real quick?
I'm doing fantastically well. Really good to be here live. This is great. It's not very often that we get to sit down together, especially with our producer, Drew McFadden, in-house today.
Yep, we're in-house. Drew McFadden over there. Yep. He's doing great. He has us set up. If you're watching on the YouTube, we have a beautiful couch spread here.
The ambiance is unmatched tonight.
And before we bring in our guest and have him and talk about him for a second, he just came to the concert, but good friend of ours. We have some people to thank, some incredible people that we couldn't have this podcast without.
Yeah, our sustaining members over on Patreon, on the top tier, keeping this thing going, inspiring us daily to continue to run this podcast. And that's why we're here for episode 80. That's why we're going to talk about the Taylor Hawkins tribute. So without further ado, I would like to thank Eddie Vedder, got me through my second divorce, Shoe the Shoeless, I Hate Your Mom, Kitty Cooper, Brother Nature, The Blue Owl, Kara K, Fresh Tendonitis, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, my mother, Carlene Salona, she's still a patron, she hasn't run out yet, Jamie Lynn, What the Fuck's Up, Denny's, our number one fan from Australia, Wayne Staley, Alex Long, Darian Riddle, Rachel Corning, Fuck Soup, Jade Mercado, Doug Endy, Black Hole Sean, Captain Hightop, Marianne, Nikki Six, Release, Millie, Lauren Irene, Chris LSMS, Faith Bittner, Kayla Jean, Alexis Shannon, and Sonny Mashburn. All-star cast.
Round of applause. Round of applause for the patrons. So that's our top tier, which is if you'd like to be a part of that and you'd like to hear your name on the Grunge Ball Podcast, that is $10 to join. The link is in our bio in the show notes. And there's also a $5 and a $2 tier. The $2, that's like a shitty cup of coffee for 4 episodes a month. So please consider that. And that's all we're going to talk about right now because we got a lot to get into. But first, I want to introduce our lovely third member of the podcast today. We have Adam Pellicciotti.
Special guest.
I think we've talked about him a few times before. Adam is a high school friend of ours. He was in a band with Drew and I for couple years. We played through first couple years of college, playing some shows, and he also lives out here in Los Angeles. So he was able to come to the show with us, as well as Doug Endy, top level patron's son, Connor Endy, who is off camera. He's here for support. But Adam, we're really happy to have you here. How you doing, man?
Hey, glad to be here.
Yeah, man.
Dude, what a hell of a week we've had so far.
Dude, yeah, this is
It's been a little bit of a cruisy one this week.
What day is it?
That's what I got.
It is Thursday.
Just a second ago.
September the 29th.
Thursday, yeah.
September the 29th. I don't even know what day of the week it is. Yeah, I only know it's the 29th because we're about to.
That's coming down the pipe for all of us.
We're pitching rent. I think that's where the patrons' money goes to this week.
Yeah, we're gonna divert it away from our producer and go directly to the rent.
But yeah, we started the road trip on Saturday. The concert was on Tuesday. That was our first day in Los Angeles. And now it's Thursday, so it's been 2 days removed. And, man, we have been jam-packed, we haven't missed. We've been on fire with all the stuff we've been doing. So energy levels are high, but we are tired, I believe. Yeah. So we're keeping it going. But
tonight's our rest night.
Exactly. Yeah. We're taking it easy.
We're really excited to be doing this pod. So, but the way we usually start is we just do a daily check-in, or a weekly check-in, I'm sorry, because this comes out on Monday, so everybody's getting ready for the work week. So,
gotcha.
The only question to ask is, how the hell are you guys doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah, you go first.
How you doing, Adam?
Well,
how you doing?
I for the whole week, yeah.
How you doing?
Whatever you want it to be.
How you doing, like, right now?
This is your world.
Right now, I'm doing so fire. I'm just like, you know, like how when you use up a battery and it's getting close to the end of its life, it like gets really juiced up and really good. And
that
1%
lasts.
Dies.
Yeah.
I'm like right at that level. Like I'm juiced up.
The heroic last 5%.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just enough, like, you know, shit left in me to keep me going. But
Yeah, there's we actually have a concert tomorrow we're going to in Ventura. We're going to see Petey. It'll be our third concert of the trip.
Yeah, nice
Saw the
triple
front bombs.
shot this week.
Yeah, Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm pretty much doing the same way Adam's doing.
We're in the same
It's
boat
been a hell
here,
of
guys.
a week, but we're running on fumes here. But as we all know around here, we can't miss. We don't miss 80 weeks in a row. So we will use that last 5% and bring you a lovely podcast episode, episode 80, to kick off the month of October.
More than 80, really.
More than 80, because
Yeah.
we have special. Yeah, we've got some special editions in the hopper there.
And we do also have some clips from the road that we're going to put on the Patreon. So if you'd like to see those, I think it's going to be an exclusive little stuff. We took some videos from the show that we're just going to put up there, maybe a little compilation. So maybe we'll sprinkle a few posts of some of the stuff.
Maybe
but
some tasteful nudity if we have to.
yeah, there was some tasteful nudity at the show that
There
we
was.
may talk about. But yeah, again, we're going to have some a good recap on the Patreon. So think about that. But I want to raise a glass, guys, because I'm excited to be here all together. This is a first time that we were all together. We got the producers
Gang's
looking
all
great.
here. This is great.
Connor is pumped up. This is great. So cheers, guys.
We have a full crew. We have a producer. We have a production assistant. We have 3 on-air talent. This is great. We're doing it. We're doing it big time in the City of Angels.
I like that word.
So, all right, let's talk about the show. So we woke up on Tuesday, right outside Zion National Park in the Mojave Desert, and we drove right to LA. We got there like 5 o'clock. Quick, did a wardrobe change, and then headed over for the show. Got there like 20 minutes before. Found our seats. Got a beer, and then all of a sudden they promptly started at 7 o'clock, and they played
By
for
the grace
6
of
hours.
God.
6 hours and 5 minutes, right?
Dude, it felt like it was.
Well,
2 hours.
so general. I'll give my general reaction. We got like 2.5 hours in, and I looked at the time, and I was like, it felt like it was 4 songs. It felt like we just started. Like the energy in the room for the first 3 hours was just, there was so much anticipation for what was coming, and we had incredible acts to start, and we were just like, it was just moving. I mean, the room was moving. It felt so good. And like that 6 hours was, I mean, we spent 7 hours in the car, and that was a long,
It felt a lot longer.
Yeah, it felt a lot longer than
for
the
sure.
show. So yeah, you guys remember the opener? The opener was incredible. We heard Hallelujah by Violet Grohl.
Yeah, Violet hopped in and kicked off the show, and real quick, I mean, I felt the same way. 6 hours. I was sitting next to Connor at the show, and it kicked off promptly at 7 o'clock, and like every hour or 30 minutes, I'd look and be like, it's only 11:30. Like, I think this is gonna go a while. And the London one went for 6 hours, and I was
So we
doing the
knew it
math
was
in my
gonna
head.
do
I was
that.
naive. I was like, the show's starting at 7. There's no way it's gonna go 6. They'll be done by 11:30, midnight the latest. But they went a full 6 hours, pretty much nonstop. I mean, they were just gear changes and personnel changes on stage, and they just kept the music coming and coming and coming. And it was a long day for us, especially. I think for everybody, obviously. And I think everybody kind of held their own and gave back to the performers what they were giving to the audience that night. It was really, really special.
Yeah, it was a lot of up and down. You'd stand up for the songs, and you'd sit down, get a little break, but then the song came on, and you're like, I gotta stand. I gotta stand for this one. And we had, there's no bad seats in the Forum. We were on the second level. Was it section 205? Huh?
Not for that show, at least. They had the seats available behind the stage.
Oh yeah, they filled it up. Yeah.
Every
I
seat
knew
was available.
it's true, and I knew that we were in for a long show because, I knew that it was. Yeah, I knew we were in for a long show when Dave was like, Wembley was great, but this is the hometown show, and we are gonna fucking rock.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought that the Wembley show went 6 hours. I was like, this one's gonna go at least 7 because
I did
this
too.
is everybody's home base. Like,
I thought it was
this
gonna
is
go a
where
little
people
longer.
live.
Yeah.
A lot of famous rock.
And it's
stars.
interesting just with like the personnel and the song choice and just the overall vibe. A lot of people were saying that the London one was kind of a morning event where, there was a lot of emotion and kind of reflective. And this one almost felt a lot more like a celebration to me, having watched a decent chunk of the London one and comparing it with what we saw on Tuesday night. This was just, all of Taylor's best friends were there, all of his colleagues, all of
friends,
the people that he admired and that admired him. They were all there to just give their best, in tribute to their dear friend, which it was one of those rare instances, I think, where something is happening in front of your eyes and you're witness to something and you immediately know that it's going to be special. I think sometimes it takes a little bit for that to sink in and you realize the gravity of something. But I think from the moment, as soon as the clock hit 7:00 and Violet went on there and sang Hallelujah, you knew it was going to be special. You knew it was going to be emotional, and you knew it was going to be a long night.
Dave.
If you didn't know, Dave was fucking heart pulling.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they
stories.
played obviously Hallelujah. That was like, but everybody was kind of settling in. So, it was going on and everybody knew what was going to, and then Dave came on and he gave a little speech. And that first 10 minutes goes, and then Joan Jett came on and played 2 songs with Travis Barker. And like, I felt during that first like 15 minutes, I mean, I was like, my eyes were filled with tears. Like, I mean, it was very emotional. And obviously we lost a legend. And, as a drummer, he was one of my favorite drummers growing up. But really, the whole time, like when Dave was talking, he was choked up. The beginning and the end were the most emotional.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I felt that.
Oh, I'm drinking rosé.
What I was gonna say is,
sorry,
I just kept thinking about Taylor as Dave's best friend.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well,
and I was I was sitting
like,
next to 3 of my best friends in a city that some of my closest friends moved to, and I was just picturing like losing your best friend. And, tragedy happens all the time in the world, and it's really sad. But you never know what's going to happen. I was just blown away because I couldn't imagine. I was just like really floored thinking about losing a close friend, because that's exactly what it was: a father, a friend, and an idol for a lot of people.
Well, and I think a lot of it too is these musicians. They're in the public eye, and music is there to be shared, in by the musicians and the fans. And when you lose somebody like that, you have to. There's such a public element to the mourning, which is something that I can't relate to and can't comprehend.
Right.
Like, you're grieving. You lost one of your brothers for the last 25 years, and that night there were 17,000 other people that felt like they had lost a family member, and you have to simultaneously, bring yourself to finding some closure, celebrate your friend, but also be there for the people that are bearing witness to it. And I don't know how those musicians were able to do it. I don't know how people are able to perform in those circumstances.
Dude, I think it was so cool. We got to see like all of those big celebrities just be normal people for a little bit and really mourn on this guy that opened a lot of their hearts. It was just so crazy. Yeah,
I had a moment. I mean, like I said, right in the beginning, I was just like, I couldn't believe that we were there. Right. Like, I mean, obviously getting the tickets was special, but then Adam you were sitting next to me and you're just like, he's like, what did you bring me to? And I was like, dude, I was like, I don't even know what I got. I don't even know what we just got into.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like honored to be there. And I was absolutely floored for, the first 20 minutes of the show. Just like, this is going to, Chris, you brought up a good point too. Like, when people die of old age, it's very sad, but it's different than when you lose somebody like midlife and to certain circumstances. And that's what happened. Like it was, and people don't just get tribute shows like this. I mean, that's not, Cornell had a great one, but like, I mean, getting ahead, like Rush came on and played, and obviously we lost Neil Peart like 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And that was one of Taylor's idols, obviously, because he's one of the best drummers of all time. And he didn't even have a tribute to him. Like,
right.
He didn't even and he's like, Taylor is incredible and a showman in so many ways, but Neil was just a virtuoso.
The drummer's drummer in a way.
Everybody regards him as one of the highest, and he didn't even have a show.
Prince.
Right, exactly.
Had a tribute.
Yeah, just pure icons of the music world. And it's, it's just one of those things that no matter who you talk to, these people, nobody has a bad thing to say about them, and everybody, you could just tell the way people were playing, the way they were performing, the way they were talking about Taylor, just how much he meant. And that's something that you kind of lose sight of, I think, in the shock of the mourning, when somebody immediately passes away. And then when you take time to settle in and start to listen to the stories and start to listen to people explain what someone like Taylor Hawkins meant to them, that's what makes it really, really special. And that kind of makes it sink in a little bit more.
Yeah. I can already tell this episode is going to be just like the show. It's going to go a little bit longer. We're going to have our moments.
It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long night. So we got plenty of drinks on deck. And I think that we're pretty much going to go. I took some notes during the show. Obviously the lineup and the set list came out. So I think we're going to pretty much go through and talk about each performance and go through. And so buckle in. If you guys weren't there, we're gonna do our best to give you a really good synopsis. And the first one, like Joan Jett came out, or I guess after Violet, the first band was Joan Jett, Travis Barker, and the Foo. And this is the first time. So Travis Barker was a very influential drummer for me growing up. Incredible. Blink-182, love him. And he played 2 songs. They played 2 songs together, and then he played one at the end. And I love Travis Barker, but some of the other drummers, like there were some really incredible performances that went on. And like Travis, he actually like, I mean, he was incredible, of course, but like it was
No comparison.
It was kind of like it almost.
He was an opener.
Yeah, he was the opener.
What
exactly.
environment will Travis Barker be the first person on the stage at 7:00?
Right.
And he'll be done by
That's
7:10.
The concert went.
Right.
Yep. And he came on, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, who's gonna sit behind that kid? Who's gonna come?
We're
out?
starting with Joan Jett and Travis Barker on drums. Like, what is to come? And I know the lineup was a little bit different from the London show, and I believe the docket didn't list everybody that actually ended up playing that night. So it was just like one of those things where you were just constantly thinking when they were shifting, when the musicians would finish their couple of songs, they drop their guitars, and people come out and change for the next one. It's like, who's going to come out next? Like,
Right.
that was the hard thing. Like, how do you
Yeah.
time the bathroom breaks? How do you time
yeah.
the runs to go get some more drinks? Like, you just don't know what you're going to miss, and you don't know who you're going to miss, and you don't know what songs you're going to miss because you don't know what they're going to play.
The greatest thing about that was if you left the stadium, you could still hear everything on the speakers, and like 3 seconds into the song, you're like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's coming up, and like as soon as you hear the voice, like all of the acts were just that known.
Right.
That as soon as they came up, you were like,
Yeah.
shit, I gotta go.
I ended up in a situation like that where I ran to go use the restroom, and then Connor texted us. He's like, Miley Cyrus is on right now.
Right,
She just popped on and she was singing "Photograph" by Def Leppard, and I was like, oh shoot,
No.
I gotta get back and see this. It's like, it was so hard to miss, and everybody at the show, even in the lines for the bathroom, and everybody was so nice, and they were so kind to one another, which is not. It's not a given nowadays. So,
But
Yeah.
like Dave said a lot. Like
great
everybody
stuff.
was there for the same reason. Everybody, and that's why I love concerts. We talked about this before. Like, your love for a certain music is the same as everybody else in that venue at that time.
Yeah.
Which is like really special.
yeah, and all ages too. I mean, I saw kids who couldn't have even been 10 years old who were there. Their parents had brought them. There were people much older than us who were there. The people behind us are probably a couple of women in their 50s or 60s. And at one point they tapped us on the shoulder and they said, it's so cool that, these musicians are playing songs that we grew up listening to in the 70s, and you guys are here and you're just as affected by it.
Right.
It's like the common denominator that Taylor was to bring people like that together is really, really cool, because there's not many other circumstances that diverse of a group of people with that diverse of a group, set of circumstances and experience all come together, and it's
In a
harmonious.
Peaceful way.
A good setting,
Good
yeah.
form of art to do such a thing.
So after Joan Jett came on, they played like 2 songs, "Bad Reputation" and what was the other one?
I love rock and roll.
Cherry Bomb. Cherry Bomb was
Bomb.
first, and then Chevy Metal came on, and Chevy Metal is I just remember they had also John Davison come on, who's the singer for Yes, and they played "Owner of a Lonely Heart," and I remember.
Who's best friends with Taylor?
Yeah, childhood best friends, and I just remember standing there and being like, "Damn, I love rock and roll," because I've been to a lot of
Sweet.
I've been to a lot of like
So
alternative and like other rock shows or indie, and all of a sudden I realized I was like, "This is gonna be a rock concert."
Yeah.
I was like, "We have legends in the building. Like this is gonna be just shredding, just performance, and like big names. It's not like." It's just, we love the small bands. We talk about like going to the smaller shows and stuff, but all of a sudden it was like, damn, we are in the, like, even Chevy Metal, like I said, it was just like, it was rock and roll. And I was like, wow.
It was cool.
I was like, I forgot how much I love rock and roll. In a way. I mean, I was just like, this is going to be so cool.
The vibes are cool because it wasn't a popularity contest.
No, and it wasn't a competition.
Right,
and
there was no competitive.
And there were probably over a dozen drummers that
except for Sebastian Bach. He came on. He's like, give a round of applause for Taylor. No, give a round of applause for me. he was the only one that said that.
It was so
and he ripped.
Cool,
he ripped.
Yeah,
everybody else is so humble though.
Right, and all of these and musicians, anybody in the public eye, there's got to be an element of having an ego. I think that helps to make you successful. But to see people put that aside and there's no competition. I mean, there a dozen and a half, maybe more drummers that sat down at that kit that night, and they were all there for the same purpose, and they all play differently. And there's obviously differing levels of how skilled they might be technically or how revered they are in the music community. But it was just so cool. Everybody brought their own taste and made their own mark on that show, which was really cool because when you put it all together, it's we're a couple of days on the back end of it now, and it's still kind of hard to comprehend. It's like, what did I just see? And I was talking to Ethan before we hopped on, and like, it's a good thing that one, you made the notes, and number two, we were able to find a set list on the internet because I forgot some of the performers already. Like, it's just, there was just so much in those 6 hours, and it's hard, it's hard to take it in and be objective about it.
Yeah, it was like being drunk, but you weren't drunk.
You were
like a fever dream.
Yeah, it's just such a good feeling. It's like it comes back to you in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So then the last part of Chevy Metal's set, Kesha came out.
Yeah.
And Kesha
got real hot.
Well, and she started singing, and I was really blown. She still got it. She still got some pipes on her. She really can sing, and she was rocking and rolling, and it was really funny. She brought light to a situation. So, Adam, I feel like I want to pass it over to you. So you want to explain what happened here?
Oh, the story of Kesha.
Yeah, we had a good old fashioned wardrobe malfunction.
Me,
it was like Janet.
I love a good double decker story. So yeah, she fucking was wrapping up her first song.
Heroes.
Hero.
He was Heroes by Bowie, and it was such a. I mean, because
one day.
And Taylor loved
she
Bowie.
Was a hero, Kesha,
Yeah. So she came out and she was wearing
my hero.
She was wearing this like fishnet and like a long coat or something.
Some
like
sort
that.
of fashion device.
It was like a see-through netting shirt.
And like halfway through her song, like
and a sequin bikini
her top like
and
fell off.
Yeah, she was just for one day, and the bikini just came right off.
And
and then the shirt was see-through.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then she finished the song and she was like, I feel like I need to make light of this. She's like, as you can see, like my boobies are out. She's like, my tits are out. She's like, but Taylor would have loved this.
Yeah.
And she's like, Taylor would have thought this was hilarious. So she's like, we're going to play another song. Try not to be distracted by my tits. If you can.
To keep going.
And we're all like, rock and roll.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's rock. That's rock and roll.
Rock and roll. And she played the whole next song, and it was just like, I don't know. It was just like, it just showed you that anything was about to happen.
Yeah, no, there were no way you could predict what was happening next.
Yeah, and like I said, she killed it. I mean,
her were out for over 5 minutes of that show,
and she was killing
with
it.
Arms up and out and wide, and just letting it fly. It was good. It was good. It was my favorite part.
Absolutely. It was good. And then the next,
my new favorite song.
Yeah. And then after that, the Coattail Riders came out and played a few songs, and again, just rock and roll. It was one of Taylor's bands, and those guys weren't messing around. They just ripped. They just ripped a few songs. I'm not even sure how many they played. They were just. I think I had to pee really bad at this point. I had to go.
Yeah. Yeah, they were in it for a little bit. Yeah.
They were so good though. Like,
Yeah.
Didn't want them to stop. Like that's how every act was though.
After that, Joe Walsh came out. The James Gang.
That was the cool part. They had said that the James Gang hadn't played for like 10 or 15 years. And when Dave was saying, before him, when they were organizing this, he was making calls and seeing if people wanted to, and he called the James Gang camp and probably Joe, and they were like, fuck yeah, like we want to come out and play this. Like we haven't gotten together and played together in 15 years, but we have to be here and we have to do this for Taylor. And it's just there were so many things like that where, you know, people that hadn't played together in a while, people that hadn't played together ever, playing songs they haven't played in forever, you know, they were all there to do that. And all of like the pop and circumstance or the technicalities of, like, we don't normally play this. Well, everything was on the table, and every combination of musician was on the table. Every band, they were, you know, all bets were off. It was really, really, really cool.
Yeah, not only does that kind of show up open opportunity for us to see a once in a lifetime thing, but for like Miley, Pink, those types of artists to get to do a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And once in a lifetime collaborations too. Like these people don't share the stage with these
They're
other musicians
with their
ever.
Heroes that will never set stage again.
Right.
Some of them, you know. Like,
yeah. So the kind of the flow. There's a few times where the full bands were able to come up. But most of the time, Dave, Pat Smear, and Chris all played. The Foo Fighters were in the back, and they just rotated the drummer and then a lead singer. And so Dave was out there like the whole time. At one point,
he was a busy man that night.
With the Coattail Riders. I mean, Chris Chaney came out and played the drums, and then Dave also played in tandem, and that was really cool because that's not. The mini set. Well, no, they had two drum sets set up at all times. So they were back and forth, and he brought up the mini set and was playing that for I can't remember exactly what song it was.
He was playing sick keyboard too for I think a Yes song.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we were standing there, and like I started to get tired at points. I'm like, you know what? I can't be tired because Dave is like emceeing this thing, and he's playing for probably cumulatively 4 hours of the 6 hours, and
probably more.
Playing his heart out. Like I can't be tired if Dave's still up there doing what he does.
Exactly.
I gotta stay in the game.
And that's the best part about the Foo Fighters is every show is like. I mean, we went to a show in Cuyahoga Falls a couple years ago, and it may be other than this one. This one's hard to compare to other concerts, but that was one of the best shows I've ever been to because we were in the back, and Dave was just I remember he was like, have anybody seen us before? And everybody's like, he's like, well, we sucked back then. He's like, we're way better now. And he's like, you guys are gonna get the best show ever. And like they made us in the back feel like we were right there. Him and Taylor were going back and forth, and the Foo can cover anything, and they proved it tonight because they played all of these songs. Just incredible. And the next one that comes up, I know Chris has a lot to talk about here because Josh Homme came out.
Them crooked vultures were back
with a special guest on bass, an absolute legend. John Paul Jones was playing the bass. Josh Homme was singing. They covered an Elton John song,
"Goodbye Yellow
Brick Road,"
which I don't know why Josh Homme would sing that, but it was awesome. It was so cool. And I saw Elton John earlier this year, and he played that naturally. And I was sitting there, and he started playing. I'm like, what's going on right now? Like, why is this happening? But it was just perfect. But it was kind of cool because the musicians, they were able to kind of let their hair down a little bit and do different things. And certainly there were some surprises later on in the show, with what people were deciding to perform. But I mean, that was just so cool. Like we were saying earlier, Adam. Just these people are collaborating with people that you'd never be on the stage with. Playing songs you'd never play with these people.
Yeah. Dude, it was very interesting. I liked it.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they got to play with people that they've been growing up listening to.
Yeah. And this was the cool thing about going to the show for me with, three of my really good friends, in the sense that once you recognize what's happening, you turn to your friends, you're like, oh shit, look who's up there, look what song they're playing, this is awesome.
Yeah. I never thought that I was going to hear Wolfgang. So the next this is
this is when the show really started to get moving.
Yeah, so this is song number 18 according to the set list, where Wolfgang Van Halen came out and they played. It was Wolfgang, Josh Freese, Justin Hawkins, and Dave Grohl, and they played Panama and Hot for Teacher. And we've been saying, if your name is Wolfgang Van Halen and you're related to Eddie, you
can't play guitar. You better kill vampires.
Yeah, Van Helsing. And man, I remember Panama. It was Panama and Hot for Teacher, and I was like, and I said this a lot. I wrote it down. I was like, that's the best song of the night. Yeah. Panama was incredible. The crowd was really getting going. Everybody was in that sweet spot, and it was just rock and roll.
Yeah, that whole set list was designed very well.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I don't even know
the order.
Right, just the thought that goes into it. But for me, when Wolfgang came out, we kind of walked a little bit of a gauntlet. And if you listen to this show, we have differing opinions sometimes on hair metal, and we went through the gauntlet. We had Van Halen songs, we had Def Leppard, and we had
Right.
Motley Crue.
That was the
back to
lineup.
back to
That's
back.
how they went. Yep.
Right in a row.
Exactly.
It's like they were trying to kill me. Like, but I loved it. You know, I don't like Motley Crue, but when they came on, I don't love Def Leppard, and Van Halen's never really been my bag. But it was electric. It was so cool.
Yeah, dude, yeah. It was just nostalgic, I think. It was just,
Yeah.
Yeah, so then Def Leppard, they played Rock of Ages with, and it was Def plus Foo Fighters, and then the next song was Photograph, and that's when Miley came out. And so Miley Cyrus, she sang at the Chris Cornell tribute,
Say Hello to Heaven.
and she may be like, there was some pushback last time and this time, but she's a megastar, and she was unintroduced and left the stage like it was casual.
yeah,
She
she,
just
I mean,
popped
I
up.
just
and,
think she didn't want to make a big deal about
Right,
it,
which
so.
is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was
It wasn't about
that
her.
yeah, you
exactly.
put the egos aside and you
There
go.
were a lot of acts that did that. They just kind of
Right.
were like, thank you, and just walked off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because they were just being so modest. Because of the
And then
what it was.
Right.
Motley Crue came on.
Motley
Yeah, that was
Crue
like-
came on.
Motley Crue came on, and I think we've talked about it a few times. I mean, that maybe we don't love Motley Crue, but I have a soft spot. And I was really hoping for Home Sweet Home to come on.
And they
And-
delivered.
And God willing, they delivered, and it came on. And like I said, we played this song back in high school. It was one of the rock songs. It was a great closer, the piano, all that stuff, and that's when we had to go hand in hand. I put my arms.
Old lady.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, this is just a moment. So we put our hands around each other. The whole stadium was kind of rocking back and forth, and everybody was singing. It was unreal. And that's when the ladies behind us took this awesome video.
It was sweet.
An awesome video of us just like swaying back and forth and just being like in the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's when we talked to them in between Motley and the next
Very cool.
band, and that was pretty special. I wrote it down. I was like, that was the best performance so far.
Yeah.
And we were like 25 songs in, I think.
Yeah. All around. Like, dude, the fucking lights that they were rocking too, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of shit that they put into that was so good.
Yeah,
too.
it was really, really awesome. And then Josh Homme came back out again for Shake It Up, and then
And this is good
Yeah.
because I was texting my dad at this time because he's an old rocker. He's back on the East Coast, and it's probably, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock West
Yes,
Coast time.
yeah.
Maybe a little bit before that. So it was
It was
getting late,
getting-
but
it
he
was
was
getting
still up.
late.
And I said, the cars are out. And it was
That's fucking right.
it was
The cars are
Elliot
out.
Easton, the guitarist. And because he was like, what song are they playing? He's like, because the two of the members of the Cars passed away, and he's like, like the Cars, like no one ever covers them, and that's that was cool because, it just showed how much Taylor loved music. No, just music in general, like love the Cars, but just like, you were getting people that, normally.
mainstream.
it was
Yeah,
so
like-
diverse.
genre.
Yeah, and it tested my knowledge as a music fan. And we've always said on the show, like we're fans, like we're not authorities on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like there were a lot of times like people come up like, who is that? Like I don't know who that is. And that's just like how diverse Taylor's circle was, and how diverse his influences were. It's like I didn't know. Some of these people came out. I'm like, who is that? Like why are they here? Like what bands do they play in?
Had to wait for the intros. Of
Yeah,
them,
I had to a couple
and
times.
they did every time, which was really nice.
And then Queen. How about a twist on that? Like,
Yeah, that was
I
cool
would have
later on in
never
the show.
thought that Queen.
Yeah, there were so many groups that just came out that you wouldn't have expected to see. And
But the next one coming out, if just keep it chronological.
Sure, yeah.
It was Nancy Wilson, and it was a Heart. They played Barracuda, and they were
She
like,
good.
who else better to sing Heart than the one and only Pink? And that's when Pink came out.
Pink was out there a lot.
Pink was out there a lot. This
She
is her first
fucking
one.
murdered it.
So good.
Yeah, she made it worth it.
It's so funny too because like we're all the same age. And like when we were kids, I remember like "Sober" was one of her big songs, and some of the names are escaping me. But I remember she was like,
like silly pop songs.
top 40 pop musician, and like she crushed those songs. Like I was really impressed.
good singer.
I was really impressed because I mean I hadn't thought about Pink since I was
Right, your experience
since I was
with her
13 listening to the radio on my way to like 8th grade. Like you forget about that, and I mean she's 10, 15 years older from that time, and she can sing.
Right. She's in your realm of like Katy Perry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I Kissed a Girl, like all that stuff.
But in reality, she's like in that same boat as like Kelly Clarkson or that like the good female singer.
Yeah, and I always forget that. Like even like
Lady Gaga.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, just so
Barracuda was
talented.
like, it was probably, I wrote down top 10 but at the time, but probably finished top 15.
I wanted her to play Zombie so bad.
I could have some Cranberries.
I wanted Cranberries to be there.
That's so cool.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah. After that, though, we had the great Stuart Copeland.
Well, I was saying,
reared his head.
Yeah, this was really special because Stuart Copeland is,
He's
a musician. Yeah, like just one of the best drummers that you could bring out. And, after, just taking the whole concert and the whole, it was a top 3 drummer for me. Yeah. Later Rufus Taylor did an incredible job with the Foo.
Not
but I
knowing
feel
what
like,
was going to come next. I mean, he came on for the 27th song of the night. So
that's what I was about to just say. Like, I think that's when I turned to Ethan, was like, all right, end of the first quarter, maybe the first half, but it feels like the first quarter.
Yeah, it's like we'll take our water breaks, TV timeout, and we'll just keep rolling with it. But he was impressive.
Yeah, they played Next to You, and every little thing she does is magic, and he just performed beautifully. It was just so crisp, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And that was I knew right away. I was like Taylor would have loved that.
Something for me that I thought about a lot that night, and I think I spoke to you guys about it too, is like a lot of these musicians, the older ones, they're in their 60s, early 70s, mid 70s, late 70s. It is wild to me the ability that they still have at that age, and the dexterity and the strength and the precision to perform these songs. And a lot of the lead guitarists that were out there were some old people out there, and the fact that they're still able to play that well, as somebody who fucks around with a guitar from time to time, and like, I don't know, I'm horrible at it. Like, I don't know, these guys are old and they're still able to play so well. And drumming is a very physical thing to do. Mm-hmm. And the fact that these guys can go out there and still play and just tear the house down is something I always think about. And it's like they can do at that age what so many people are incapable of doing. It's just like when you have a gift, you have it,
I think when Stork came out and they played those, I was like, at that moment I realized that we were getting the hits. We were getting the hits from all the best bands, and it was one of those things where, like, if you wanted to have a bucket list of people that you wanted to see, songs that you wanted to hear, we were at the right show.
One concert away.
Yeah, and like sometimes maybe we didn't get the song exactly that we wanted, because Queen has a ton of songs that I would have loved.
Like, how do you pick when you have time for 3 songs and you have 10 hits that are instantly recognizable anywhere in the world? And what you were just talking about, Ethan, it kicked in for me the next performance when Alanis Morissette came out, and everybody knows Alanis hired Taylor to be the touring drummer back in the mid 90s for her when she was one of the biggest acts in the world, and how important that was for Taylor's career and how special of a time that was, and that was incredible. And obviously there's one song that she had to play, and she played it and she killed it, and it was You Ought to Know. And that was one of the highlights for me from the night.
Yeah, she was really good, and that's when Chad Smith came out, the drummer from the Chili Peppers, and he played a large role in the second half of the show because him and Taylor were really close.
And that was one of the big performances of the night that I think the whole crowd was anticipating, because she was on the bill.
Right.
She wasn't at Wembley, so you knew she was going to come out. You didn't know when, and when she came out and they started playing that song, everybody. That was one that people have been waiting for the 3 hours preceding that. So when it finally happened, it was just this big crescendo, and it was such a cool moment.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. She still really rocks.
Good. Yeah, she still rocks. And then, so after that, we had the legend Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian Bach,
Skid Row, I believe, and
Lars.
And Lars Ulrich was the drummer for Metallica. And I was really excited because I've never seen Metallica. I've never seen Lars play. And, I was just really excited to see him. And same with Travis Barker. Like, they kind of both played. And I wasn't unimpressed. But, like, I remember, like, they went through and I was like, it's amazing that these two guys I know are not going to be, like, at the top. At the top performers when I'm done. And they played, it was funny because Sebastian, I don't know how old he is, but he was like, he had the long hair and was doing the heavy head banging to their 2 songs, like Supernaut and something else, and I mean, it was really good, but because I was like, dude, I kept going to Chris. I was like, he's still got it,
Yeah.
But yeah, Lars was really good. I wish they would have played some Metallica or some or Hetfield would have came out, but I don't know why he would have.
Well, that was the weird thing for me, and I was talking about this earlier with Motley Crue. There was a lot of music that any other time and place, it doesn't wind my clock at all. It doesn't wet my whistle.
Right.
But I mean, when these guys, I don't really like Metallica that much, but when Lars came out, I was like, hell yeah, Lars! Like, let's do it. Like, this is awesome.
I think there was just that. So like I was gonna say, like, you guys are totally right. They weren't playing those popular songs that everybody wanted to hear because they were playing like Taylor's favorite songs, and that's why I think it hit so hard. Is because they reminded us of all of that. Like every time they came up,
and that's a good point. Something I forgot about.
Songs, and then you were just like, wow, okay, this is one that's gonna connect.
Yeah, and that happened many times. They would come on and they were like, "This was
like,
one of
Taylor
Taylor's
would have
favorites."
loved this.
Yeah,
let's do this.
So that and built the bridge right away before the song even started.
Yeah.
After this, there was some time and it went dark, and all of a sudden, this man walked out onto the stage, and all of a sudden, I hear from the side, from two people down, Connor was like, "Yes!" And he was like, "Oh!" He's like, "Yeah!" And it was Jack Black came out in his glory, and he was like, now he's like, setting up the crowd, talking, and. Connor's freaking out. He's like, well,
Tenacious D's gonna be here.
Is Kyle Gass coming out? Like, are we gonna get some Tenacious D? And sadly, all he did was intro the next band. But he talked about how he saw Taylor.
Sadly, the band he intro.
Well, I would say not sadly because the band is absolute legends, and we talked about it a little bit before. But he's like, this is one of Taylor's favorite bands that we watched them play in the stadium, and we also Taylor was in the crowd for this band playing, and it was Rush. So Geddy Lee came out, and obviously we didn't have Neil. So the first drummer was Dave. Dave played Danny Carey, and then who was the third one?
It was crazy because Dave, you think Dave Grohl is like the highlight of everything.
Yeah.
And he plays with these bands, and you're just like. Wait, Dave's playing with them?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it until the end of the song.
Yeah. And that's something I think about too, because the way we feel about being able to see Dave Grohl perform, for him, I mean, he's a music icon. He's played with everybody. I can't imagine that the aura of playing with Geddy Lee, for example, will ever wear off for those people who shared the stage with him that night. Like the way we feel about seeing Dave or seeing those combinations, they feel that way about who they're sharing the stage with, and it's just like. I mean, your heroes are your heroes, and they're your heroes for life. And the fact that Dave was able to play with Geddy on some Rush songs. I mean, that's
they
we
played
were there for it.
Right. Yeah, crazy.
They played 2112 Part 1 Overture with Dave, and then Working Man with Chad Smith on drums, and then they played YYZ with Danny Carey from Tool.
Yeah.
And he was really good. I mean, Dave actually. I mean, the overture, Dave like crushed it. I was like, oh shit. Like I remember thinking to myself, I was like, wow, Dave's still really fucking good.
That
at drums.
was
obviously
that was the only song that Danny Carey played that night, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
That's the crazy thing. Like Danny Carey, one of the greatest drummers. It's like I don't mean this pejoratively, but it's almost like an afterthought. Like you forgot that he was there. It's like, oh, which song was he on? Like he was just on there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The fact that Danny Carey was at a show and his job only lasted for 5 minutes. Crazy.
That was cool. I like watching, just seeing Geddy Lee, knowing that like I'm never gonna see Rush.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, you can't.
Again. Like and you can't see it in the original lineup, and it's just like.
And Geddy's
like,
still
yeah,
got
this
it.
is. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We're watching history just right in front of us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome. The next one, this was one that was highly anticipated.
Oh my gosh.
By Chris and I. We were like,
I was pissing everybody off that I was with. I was like, oh, like when's Kim Thile, when's Matt Cameron gonna come out? When is it gonna happen? Every single time they were changing the gear, I was like, oh, Soundgarden, it's gonna come soon. And finally, at this point in the show, my prayers were answered.
They did not disappoint.
They really did.
So it was Kim, Matt Cameron,
Chris
and then
Novoselic.
Chris Novoselic on the bass. And Chris doesn't he doesn't come out and play like
all the
that.
time anymore. Yeah,
It's pretty, which is cool. It was really cool to have. We'd love to hear a Nirvana song. They didn't give us any, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Momsen came out and played, sang vocals.
Yeah.
and I mean, she's a rock star. She played at the Cornell tribute as well.
Yep, she did.
And
Killed it.
Yeah, and we got Day I Tried to Live in Black Hole Sun, two of the best Soundgarden songs. And with Taylor Momsen, like, I don't love the Pretty Reckless, like I don't love the music, but her voice, unbelievable. And another thing, like, Soundgarden for Taylor, those are some of her heroes, and she's collaborated with them in the past a couple of times. And I think, like I said, any opportunity that they get to do that, it's probably like just you're awestruck that you're actually there. Like, I feel like if I was there, you're just like, you're on stage, like you just momentarily black out for the time that you're out there, and you get in the back room, and you're like, what just happened?
And it's funny because we had Kim and Matt, but then we also had Dave and Pat also played. So Dave, Pat, and Chris. So we basically had, it was a combination of
Kurt.
Yeah, it was Nirvana and the Soundgarden together with Taylor singing.
All surviving Nirvana members.
That's the closest that we're ever going to be able to see Nirvana.
Yeah.
Closest we're going to be able to see Soundgarden. So that was really special. We love Soundgarden obviously here. Everybody does.
Yeah.
That's listening to this podcast. So that was special. That was a good one.
That was a highlight for me.
That's pretty much when you was like, okay, like the big guns are out. Now we're getting into the grunge. Now we're getting into, we're getting to the latter half of the show.
Yeah, the gloves are coming off.
That was halftime, even though it was a little bit past halftime.
Right. And that's when Queen came out afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then Queen came up, and Taylor was he was a really big Queen guy. He loved the stadium songs. He loved just the crowd control.
Oh no, they showed the video later. Right?
Yeah, the videos
sprinkled
before
in
the Foo Fighters.
They sprinkled in a few videos. I kind of wish they did a little bit more of the behind the scenes stuff, and maybe a little bit more storytelling. Yeah, I think they knew the show was going to be long already, so they didn't want to talk too much.
Just wanted to rock.
But I think as fans, we kind of all wanted that because, it's funny. We actually visited Chris Cafaro. Shout out Chris Cafaro, really good friends of ours, from the Page. Obviously, he lives in Hollywood, so we went and hung out with him today a little bit. And
that's Hollywood, baby.
And me and Chris talked about this is the he shot everybody. He shot
everybody on that stage,
right?
basically.
So he's the closest we're gonna be to meeting Kurt. We're one person removed, and he has actual personal stories with these people. And that's what I was thinking about. When Dave is talking, I'm like, Dave spent a lot. When he gives a story, that's like you talking about your best friend.
Right. It's not us talking about it.
Yeah, it's not us talking about it. I wanted more of that. And so when it was funny when we're talking to Chris today, I'm trying to ask the right questions where he's gonna give me something that I'm not gonna find on the internet. And I really wanted a little bit more of that from the show. They did a good job, but they also they knew it was gonna be a long fucking show, so they were let's just play some rock and roll.
Let's just do it.
It was good. It was really good. I just wish we had a little bit more, but they did a good job nonetheless.
Right. No, they didn't stray too much from the plan.
Yeah.
They pretty much stuck to it and didn't. Not to say that they didn't give us our own little personal show, but because they definitely did.
For sure.
I mean,
they definitely stuck to the plan and what they came to do.
Shout out to the sound crew and the people because there was no mess ups.
Gosh,
no, there was a well-oiled
the only
operation.
mess ups may have been the singers forgetting a couple lyrics here and there, just because they were in so awe of what they were experiencing.
Letting the crowd sing,
Yeah.
Or that's what they said. That's what they were like. Hold the mic out. Classic.
It wasn't because they were messing up. I don't think it was just because they didn't know the lyric. Because everybody knew those lyrics. Everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And Queen.
It was just them just.
Yeah, and I think Queen had the longest set outside of the Foo Fighters, and I don't think that's an accident because of how much Queen's music meant to Taylor. And when they played Under Pressure, that was a waterwork festival for I think a lot of us.
Justin Hawkins sang that one. He's got an incredibly from the darkness. He's got incredible high pitched ability to sing that song. And that was that one just because that was one. That's what Taylor would come out and sing. He would. That's the one that he would cover and come out from behind the set. And there's no one else in the industry that comes out from behind the drums that I can think of. There probably is, but not like Taylor. Yeah. And so that was special. We knew that one was coming, and that was a highlight. That was really.
And by this point, it was starting to get a little late. I think it might have even almost been midnight, and we hadn't gotten any Foo Fighters yet. So once Queen left the stage, we kind of knew, just doing the math. We're like, all right, we're 5 hours in. Chances are, we're gonna get some Foo Fighters now. And sure enough, that's that's what happened after Queen left, and yeah, it was.
Well, so yeah, they played Under Pressure, and then they played Somebody to Love, and that's when Pink came back out.
Yeah.
That one was Somebody to Love was really, really fantastic. And then Brian May actually did an acoustic version of Love of My Life, and they dedicated it to Taylor.
By request of Taylor's wife.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the song that they played at their wedding.
Yeah.
And
after that,
that was
she
the only
came out.
acoustic. That was the only acoustic song of the night. He was obviously, it was very emotional for him, and that was that's always special when you can bring it down a level.
It was the perfect time for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can change genres in the middle of a show just to pull on the strings.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, and that's what they were able to do. And after that, once that finished, Taylor's wife came out, and that was a really cool moment.
That's when the video tribute jumped in.
Yep.
That's where they gave it was a 3-minute, just behind the scenes stuff, seeing him play, seeing him practice, and we were like, you knew that the Foo were coming out, and you knew that we were going to get the songs that immediately makes us think of Taylor on the drums. Right? It was no more covers kind of coming up.
It's one of those times in life where you don't know whether to smile so big that your mouth's going to fall off, or cry so hard that your eyes are going to pop out.
Exactly. It's like you don't even know how to respond to it.
Yeah, it's just
So when they came out, and they started out with All My Life, which everybody's singing along, everybody's jumping up and down. It's that you're going to get a healthy mix of Foo songs, and I think that was another thing that everybody was waiting for, and as soon as everybody was able to see that it was happening, it kind of kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, it was about a 10-song set list of the Foo Fighters, and basically the way that it rolled was the Foo were out there, they would bring in a new drummer, introduce them, and then they bring out a new singer and introduce them.
They did a lot of singing too.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then the next song was Walk, and that's where Travis Barker came out and played another song. Obviously, crushed it. It's such
that one got me good
Yeah.
when Walk started.
It was so cool though.
Learn
About
the
the
walk
crowd,
again.
the Foo Fighters could have played any song and everybody would have been singing.
Yeah.
Because it was
Oh, yeah.
that type of
That's
crowd.
how passionate their fans are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're.
like,
I mean,
it
they
didn't
are.
matter.
They're the.
Everybody sang along.
They're the top rock band in the last 25 years.
Oh, easily. Easily.
And they have a greatest hits. They talked about that too. We have a greatest hits. I think it was an interview we were listening
humble
to
about that shit,
from
too.
Ali Hagendorf,
Yeah.
where she's like, they're like, we have a greatest hits already. They have songs that
10 years old.
critically acclaimed.
12
Yeah,
years old.
10, 15 years old that people, love to listen to. That was really good. So they played Walk by Travis Barker. And now the next one, I know this was great because Matt Cameron came back out.
Matt Cameron was back.
And Dave had a great intro and
Little anecdote, yeah.
Yeah, and he basically said, we're going to play this song that's not, we don't usually play live, but Taylor loved it. And it's Low by Foo Fighters. And he's like, the reason Taylor loved it, he's like, basically, it's just Jesus Christ.
Taylor just
pros.
ripped off the drum to Jesus Christ pose.
Right, so no better person to play it than Matt
That was
Cameron.
hilarious because he was building it up so much and didn't reveal the name of it until the very end.
Yeah.
And when he did, we're just like, oh, this is not gonna need a
Right, this is
emotional
not,
song.
yeah.
It's gonna be fucking
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
jamming.
And that
And exactly what it was. The whole crowd was like,
Crying and also
it's a deeper cut.
headbanging.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
deeper
like-
cut.
Right. If there was one Foo song that they played that not everybody was singing along to, it was this
that
one.
one, yeah.
Yeah, and for me as a Soundgarden fan, I was like, holy shit! I don't know that I'd heard this song
Just
before
kept
from the
hearing
Foo Fighters. When he
Jesus
came on,
Christ pose.
it sounded it was awesome, and
It was
and
really
Matt
cool.
delivered, and what a talented drummer he is.
I was just saying,
it's
yeah,
really
Matt
cool
Cameron is.
to get another chance to hear him that night, which was really cool. And then after that, we went into This Is a Call, and just looking at this list, I forgot that Brad Wilk was there.
Yep. Rage Against the Machine. He came in and played a song. That was really good. That was. I mean, he.
That's
I mean,
great.
all these drummers played. I feel like another level than. I mean, I haven't seen them live, but of course they're gonna play Incredible for their own stuff. But I feel like they really showed out.
Yeah.
And this is so much fun for everybody. But for me as a drummer, seeing these guys kind of rotate in
We
was
even
really
had
cool.
Pat Wilson out there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Was that next?
Yeah, that was
So
next.
this one was great. And it's so funny. Chris, I have to bring this up. I'll call you out. I'll call you on into questions because when we were driving up, I was like, let's play Sky is the Neighborhood. And you're like, I remember you being like, yeah, that song doesn't quite do it for me. But I remember so they played Sky is the Neighborhood. Pat Wilson was on the drums, who they played a few things with. And I remember just seeing, like, Chris, you were getting into it, man. That song, because that song, bang, that's a stadium song. I understand why, because I saw them play this in Ohio, and like it's one of those ones where like when you hear it live and it fills a stadium, it makes so much sense. That song is a slammer.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you got to experience that because I think that song is like it's really cool. It was cool to see. It was cool to have Weezer up there. I would have loved to hear him sing a Weezer song.
Yeah, that was awesome. I know you guys love Weezer. So.
Oh yeah, back in the day, Drew's produced them back at the stadium. Engineers.
Yeah. Know the difference, Ethan. What the hell?
Yeah, no one knows the difference between engineering.
Nobody knows what
mastering
is. Nobody knows what the hell goes on there.
That was one of those times where like when you were saying how you wish they would have played one of those songs. I wish they would have played Hash Pipe.
Oh yeah. Adam, just side note. Do you want to explain why we love Hash Pipe so much?
I'll shorten the story a little bit.
Yeah, I need to hear this.
Have you never heard this story, Chris?
I don't think I have.
You all know what a hash pipe is, yeah.
Dude, in high school when we sang it, I actually didn't know exactly what it was.
Sheltered
That's how
Ethan.
young we were.
Yeah, I was sheltered.
We were kids that did not know what it was. But no, in high school we played on TV news every once in a while, and this was a special live day performance.
It was right before Christmas break, and they played music all day on broadcast on the whole high school, and they were like, and we were like the high school band, so they're like, you get the last slot, you get 3 songs.
You're the headliner.
And we're like, okay, so we played the 2 songs we normally play, and then it was the third one, and Adam was like, we should play Hash Pipe by Weezer. And Drew was like, that's a good idea. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like,
that's why you don't trust a bunch of 17-year-olds to make a choice.
I was like, hell yeah, I love that song. So we practiced it, and like the guy, I was in telecom, and C just like trusted us. So we got up there, and it was like literally.
We were playing the song.
Yeah, it was literally the last.
That didn't flip the switch in Ethan's head.
Yeah.
It was literally the last song of the day, and
I don't even think we were supposed to play another one. I think we just.
I think we got like we were just like.
Let's go.
We started playing, and they were like, we'll let it go. Like, if people are hopping on their buses right now, but we can play it.
Hey, when you're up there, it's like you could call their bluff. They're not going to kick you out.
So this was great. So we start playing.
They kept rolling.
Yeah.
So we kept, and the best part was afterwards. The telecom teacher's
during the song.
What'd they do?
C was getting calls from the.
No,
VP.
that's what I'm saying. He came up to me. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's very like animated. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "You gonna get me fired." He's like, "I had Mr. Towers call me." He's like, "What are they saying about Hash Pipe? This and that."
Cooper's calling.
Yeah, Cooper's calling me. They're all
Let me
saying
sing about the Hash Pipe.
And we were just like,
Yeah,
what?
Calls from the principal.
Yeah, you get calls from the principals. I was like, did you cut us off? And like, yeah, no. And we're like, we gotta catch a bus. Like, we're out of here.
Yeah, we're going now, bro.
We're gone.
Merry Christmas.
Our work
Happy
is done.
New Year.
Drive safe. We're all done here. That was it.
You definitely took the brew to that because none of the other of us were in telecom.
I think at band practice, I was like, yo, guys, I was like, they were calling, they were talking about it, and you were like, rock and roll.
We killed that song, bro.
Hell yeah.
It was one of our best songs.
That was our best song, dude.
Damn. Back to the show. Yeah, Chris, why don't you set the stage for this? Because this was the curveball of the night.
Yeah. So on the bill, it said that special guest Dave Chappelle.
And he opened the Wembley Stadium.
Yes. I believe
Concert.
so.
He came out and gave a really, and I was hoping to hear that. So when he didn't come out in the beginning, I was a little worried.
Right. So you were kind of wondering where he was going to fit into the whole thing, and then at this point, in probably 12:15, 12:30 in the morning, he comes out and they play "Creep" by Radiohead, which apparently I looked it up. They had done that before. I guess Dave Chappelle. That's a song that he likes, and he's performed it at some point in the past, and I think he's joined the Foos and he's done it, but I didn't know that at the time. I was like, okay, there's Dave. Like, what's gonna go on here? And then you recognize the riff that starts "Creep" off, and I was like, all right, I guess creeps happen. And then he started to sing the verse. I was like, all right, he's just fucking around. They're going to do something else and he's going to talk. But he kept going.
He kept going.
They played
I literally
the whole
thought the same
song.
thing. I was like, all right, we get like a verse or two.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a gag thing.
And
Like,
then
oh,
they're
like,
gonna,
haha,
like,
Dave
you know.
Chappelle singing creep. But he sang the whole fucking thing.
And it was really
awesome.
great because he's like, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. And everybody's
true.
like,
Yeah, like, what
and
are
he
you
was
doing
doing
here?
he was doing this. He was doing the hand motion. He's like, I don't belong here, you know. And we were just.
It was really
dying.
funny too. The bridge of that song where they sing "Run" and they hit the high notes. Like you can't sing, which I can't sing. Like that seems like it's a difficult thing to do. And like I don't think Dave Chappelle can sing that part either. But he tried, and 17,000 people tried and helped him out. And that was really cool. I was trying as hard as I could. I was singing that, and it was.
Dude, you had to.
Yeah, you had to. I mean,
There's nothing
you had to
better
put it
than
out
bringing
there.
somebody on stage that shouldn't be shouldn't be
Really
singing on
shouldn't,
stage.
yeah.
Like, come on, man! Like, please. We had a friend that we did that with. Was like, come on, please, like, sing Eminem.
Yeah, play banjo.
And somehow he did, and we're just like, glad we have that in the memory bank.
You got that a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of luck, and you can make it happen. I guess.
Yeah, you just squeeze him until he breaks.
Exactly. Yeah. Just wring every ounce that you can get out of it.
That was the last of like the lightheartedness that we were gonna get, and like kind of the fun and games.
And then you knew time was drawing close because it was
right.
almost one.
Actually, after this, I thought every song. Well, we knew Shane was gonna come up and play.
Yeah.
Play My Hero, and we were like, okay, like when is it gonna be? And we knew that time was drawing near. Every song could have been the last.
Physical, like, body motions were getting emotional. You could feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, because like at this point, it's like they had already done the first of the 2 tribute shows, and this was the last one, and I'm sure they have some sort of ideas what's going to come next for the Foo Fighters or Dave himself individually. It's like you don't know the next time they're all going to be together playing, so you can kind of feel the emotion, and the clock's getting closer to 1, and I think a lot of people had kind of figured it might go 6 hours. I didn't, but it was getting close to that 6-hour mark, and you're like, which one's going to be the last one? And the time's drawing close, and it kind of hit that, the last 4 or 5 songs where, like you said, Ethan, it's like, which one's going to be the last one?
Right.
When's going to happen? So after Dave Chappelle wowed us with some Radiohead, we went into Run, and Omar Hakim was out there, very, very revered, and he did a great job. And then
That was one of, that was it was
cool.
extremely. I mean, that's a really hard song to play. Super fast pace.
Yeah.
I was
And
gonna say that might have been the most underrated performance of the night.
yeah, I mean, they introduced him, and like you could tell that people like. I mean, he's an incredible jazz drummer, and like people should know more about him. But like,
That's what I mean. Underrated.
yeah, and I mean, he just did an incredible job, and it was just that's just a really strong driving song.
Yeah.
And he delivered really well.
Yeah, and then we were getting up the last 4 songs. Best of You, Rufus Taylor came out, and for me, for the Wembley show, Rufus Taylor was certainly one of the highlights. I think he, kind of stole the show for me, and he did a fantastic job with that song. Yeah, he did it again.
He really did.
This one was, to me, this was song number 50, and
Holy shit.
I know this
Yeah,
is literally
exactly.
this is literally
Sounds
song number
crazy.
50, and I think it was the best drum performance of the night. I think this takes the cake. It was, I mean, Best of You is such a beautiful song, and the ending, there was a little extended ending where they kept jamming and they let Rufus really go.
Yeah.
And he absolutely crushed it. I mean, and afterwards, like he was bent over, hands on his face, like he was
That was
emotional.
emotional.
Like he was
Yeah.
emotional. Like it was clear that it meant a lot to him, and he left everything out on that kit.
He sure did. Yeah.
And
that was.
I was like, this man. I was like, the big thing is like, are the Foo Fighters going to continue to play? And like, if we had to pick, maybe we'll talk about this a little after we get through the set list. But like, is this the next drummer for the Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Like, is
Either
he gonna?
him or fucking Taylor's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 16, which
Yep.
is the crazy part. But like
Yeah.
Rufus, I mean, can a 16-year-old really
I haven't
play?
said
Like,
this yet, but it's uncanny. If you were to put a video of his kid and Taylor
Yeah.
playing drums right next to each other, they look like they're the
Yeah.
same.
And
fucking-
that's like
100%.
that weird thing
Well,
that it can't be. It's not empirically proven, but it's just like one of those things when it's in your blood It's in your blood,
Easy,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, like,
Wolfgang.
right?
You know,
it's
Rufus
the
Taylor's
same
Roger
thing.
Taylor's son.
Right.
And then you got Shane Hawkins
You
on the
grow
drums.
up
Taylor's
around
son.
these
Like,
things,
that
and,
you were-
it's in your blood, and that was the thing.
It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's
and
just so sad.
and with that in mind, it was only fitting that after Rufus left after Best of You,
such a
you know,
good song.
and Dave was like, you know, he's like, it's been a long night, but you know, I think there's one more drummer, and
Yep.
everybody had seen the Wembley show.
Everyone
Who was
knew.
there? Everybody knew that Shane was going to come out
he
and
had
play.
he popped out in the beginning and introduced
Chevy Metal, he introduced.
Chevy Metal,
Put on an act.
and he was like, "I'm really nervous," whatever, and he left, and everyone was like, "We were just
For a 16-year-old kid who was really nervous speaking to introduce a
Playing in front
band
of
at 7:30.
17,000.
I don't know what
people.
happened between 7:30 and 12:45, but he came out and he owned that stage and he played 2 songs. But I mean, My Hero, which stole the show, I think at Wembley, it did the same thing again at the Forum a couple nights ago.
So good.
Just unbelievable.
I mean, because
Nice
and My
to
Hero,
know that
like
drum kit.
the drum track for My Hero is Taylor Hawkins, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that is like when you think of the Foo Fighters and Taylor's stuff. I mean,
Dave played on the record.
Dave,
Yeah,
but like
Dave
the
did.
way that I guess more is
the
just
way
Foo
he made
Fighters.
the performances his own when he performed it live.
It's just the Foo Fighters. Like it is the drum track that you think of.
Dude, when you soloed
Good
out
point, though.
visually, each one of the guys playing that song, like you could see the emotion just
Mm-hmm.
vibing from them, like the auras falling off them were crazy.
And you could tell he sped it up a little bit. He was a little nervous, and that was just the cherry on top. It was like, oh yeah, this is
It's a
like,
human performance. I
Yeah,
mean, the kid
you
lost
love
his
that.
father,
that emotion,
lost
yeah.
his dad, and this is a
And he controlled the pace.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And then he played "I'll Stick Around" afterwards. He played 2 songs. I'm so glad he played another song.
Same.
Because I thought My Hero was the last one. Then we got 2 bonus songs, and I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah! And you know he just did such a good job, and that was one of the best applauses of the night, I think.
yeah, absolutely. And then
It was a very good conclusion.
yeah,
Then the final song of the night, to no surprise,
fitting fashion.
to no surprise, obviously we had to hear "Everlong."
Yeah.
And
Chad Smith made one more appearance for that.
So nostalgic.
And I love that Chad Smith was really close with Taylor, and he played. He had a really when he passed away, he posted a video of all their times together, with I believe My Hero in the background, and it was like one of the more emotional videos, one of the more emotional like tributes that I saw of Taylor and one of
Yeah.
the friends.
For sure.
And it made sense that it would have been great if Shane closed it out, but like having him play that final song made a lot of sense to me,
Yeah.
because I was like, these
Like
guys,
the way it was supposed to end.
yeah, I mean, because they were very close, and they bonded over their passion, and I mean, it was the stadium was the stadium was that last hour, those last 10 songs of the Foo set was at a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't throw this word around a lot, but that whole show, that concert was just pretty perfect.
Yeah. It really was.
Everything was timed pretty fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Which concerts, you know how they are. They
Yeah.
don't go perfect ever.
No.
And sometimes, like, I mean, we saw the Front Bottoms on Saturday, and we've seen, like, Chris, you've seen a lot of shows this past year. I've seen a lot of shows. Adam, you've seen shows,
I
and
just
like,
got a record player.
he's just got
Oh,
a
yeah,
record
you
player.
did.
He's in the game, and you know, sometimes when you're in shows, like you hit a point where you kind of lose a little bit of energy, but it really ramped up at the end. I mean, to no surprise.
Yeah. How could it not?
It was exponential the whole time.
Yeah.
The energy was just
Absolutely.
as soon as you thought there was going to be a dip, like
Mhm.
you just got.
It just
way
kept you
more.
going and going, and it gave you
Yeah.
just what you needed to, give as much as you
I
could
felt
to
like
the situation.
Mario after grabbing a star, just straight up
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
And at this point of the show, so they finished, and it was like, what do we do now, right? And they let all the guitars ring out. They set them down. They all left the stage, and there
the
was just
Foos, they all
applause.
took a bow. They stood together, took
Yeah.
a bow, and then damn near everybody that played,
everybody
came
came
back
out,
out, and the applause was deafening. Everybody on stage. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a dry pair of eyes in the crowd at that point, or on the stage for that matter. Everyone was
it's hard to
hugging,
walk away from your
arms around. Yeah, it's like you don't want to leave because it's like you don't.
As soon as
This
you
will never
leave-
happen
yeah,
again,
exactly.
and you don't know the next time you're going to hear these people play these songs, if ever. And chances are, a lot of those, you're not going to hear those combinations again. And
No,
and you're and that was the tribute show, and you have one tribute. You in this case you had two of them, but you had one in the United States, and that was it. And it was just one of those things that once it ends and you recognize that it ends, part of your brain is racing to comprehend and make sense of what you saw. And then the other part of your brain, which prevails, I think, is just completely shocked and doesn't even know what to do or what to think. And you just stand there and you just, what is there to say?
That's what I mean. Like at the end, we were just like, should we leave? Like that's a couple extra seconds we don't have in these spots.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, I think that one of the harder parts was like, when this ends, like I never want to, you never want to forget, and his legend's going to live on.
Yeah.
But you're like, is this the last that, like, I mean, this is the perfect tribute to him. And like, when it's done,
it's done.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's like, closing a book type of thing. And
peak.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the peak, like remembering of Taylor, after the Wembley, you knew you had one more, but this was it. And we don't know what the Foo Fighters are going to look like going forward. We don't know how the music scene's going to look in the next 15 years. So
that's the cool part about
it was
that
good.
Concert, though, how big that tribute was and how emotional it was. Just like we're never
again, people don't get tributes like that.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
people that remember him, like the name is just gonna.
Yeah, and just like now that we're a couple days out. Yeah, and now that we're a couple days out, like how lucky we were to be there, and personally how lucky I was to be there with the friends that I have that all sharing the music together, and that's just really cool. And like I said earlier, like we knew that it was important and it was significant when we're there, but as time goes on, the more I think about it, it's like shit, like just when I thought it couldn't feel more important, it becomes more important, it becomes more special. And I'm sure as the days and the weeks go on, that feeling will continue to elevate itself, which is wild.
It's like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were talking to Kafaro today, and he talked about when the anniversaries comes out, he like supposed like, where were you that day? Like I shot that, I was there.
Yeah.
And 20 years from now, it's like, where were you the day that they had the tribute? It's like we were
there.
there.
Yeah.
Like, we saw all that. Like we were there. That was who knows which one of those members or part of that group was gonna be gone. I was like, that could have been the last show for
that 0.01%.
Yeah,
that could have been the last show for John Paul Jones. You know what I mean?
Ticketmaster gods shone their light upon us in that waiting room all those months ago that we were able to get there.
Ticket a week before the show.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
Sweet, man.
I took 3 days off of work a week before the fucking show.
Yep.
I'm so glad you did too, because I'm just I'm so glad we didn't have to like give it. I mean, anybody could have enjoyed that ticket, but the fact that we, filled those spots
amongst friends.
I guess it's not irony; it's more like a coincidence. The fact that like we all just have like a music background.
Yeah, it's like I think most friends have like one or a couple of things that unite them, and I think for all of us in the room, it's like that's one of the big things that unite us.
I don't know that we've ever had the opportunity to jam together.
Right? No, we never had. Yeah.
With us being in a band together, it like being there at the same time, it felt really right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you guys have jammed together, so like.
Yeah.
That connection.
Yeah, it's like
it's
like another chapter in that connection that you have with people, and
a separate level.
Yeah, it definitely makes like watching when you play an instrument and you watch people like pour their heart out into a performance. You're just like. A lot of respect. Like that is their passion. That's what they love.
That's the thing that we didn't mention this whole time.
There was so much love
that was just shown.
Yeah, there was
the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
So much love in the air.
There was no heckling of any kind. There was no yelling of like.
No one tried to steal the show.
Right.
Right. There was nobody trying to bring attention to themselves.
Just the singularity of purpose that existed, and
really good group of people.
Yeah, and just how monumental it was, and I'm really happy that we're able to sit here only 2 days after the show, because it's still super raw, but I think this is the best portrayal of what it was like to be there and what the show was like, because it was raw, it was emotional, it was hard to comprehend at times, and I still, talking about it tonight, I still feel that way. Like it's going to take time to unpack, and if we had done this show a week or two later, maybe it might be a little more objective, but I think it's at its most pure when it's not, and when it's still like You don't really know what the right words are. You don't know how to explain it, how to describe it.
And I'm really happy that we waited because we saw some of the Wembley and we wanted to talk about it. And like the fact that we could go to it and experience it and talk about it like really purely. And I hope that if you're listening and like you weren't able to get tickets to the show, that we did it justice. I mean, there's gonna be plenty of videos for you guys to see, but and I'm very
So now
feel
we're going to
blessed.
talk about the worst parts of the show.
Yeah.
Probably the worst part of the show for me was that it ruined all concerts from now on.
Yeah, seriously.
We were like, where does this rank? And you're like, it's in a league
I
of
feel
its
like I have
own. It's
to-
in a chamber of its own.
Yeah, I have to relegate this. Like when people are like, oh, like what's the best show you've gone to? Like I can't
I'm
even
gonna say
include this
this.
because it's gonna win every time. So this is its own thing. It's like, so if someone asked me like, what's the best tribute concert? You're like, obviously, but it's like I can't even think about this because like I've
thing
seen
is
some
that can
great
beat
shows.
this. Yeah.
We've all seen some great shows, but it's just like this is just so. I don't even know. Yeah, you're right. It's like it's ruined everything.
Show that like makes you want to walk out on a Beyonce concert.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
This is
when you
just
have an experience like this, like a lot of other experiences, like they might not do it for you like they used to.
Right. Yeah, your perspective on concerts
Yeah.
has just changed.
It's wild. And that's
I'll
the
take
crazy
some,
thing.
please.
Like that's the only negative part about it.
Yeah,
And it's like how lucky are we
your
to have that as a negative part, you know, that we were that high on the
It's
mountaintop with
positively
it.
negative.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
It's so crazy.
it's one of those good and bads.
We could talk for a long time about this. I mean, it's just a very special experience that,
We can talk about
Like I said,
about all kinds of stuff.
right. If you guys are still listening, thank you so much. I hope
Give you
that,
really good stories about Ethan.
oh yeah, we can keep talking
It's
about
for the
random
Patreon exclusive
But, like-
for later on. People want to pay to hear those.
But I do love that, like, you know, there are people listening that, want to hear this, want to hear the recap, and I'm glad that we can give an honest recap and
Yeah.
Sure,
an
this
honest.
is no justice at all.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
Right. No, I mean, that's the same thing. Like you go and you see a certain grandeur when you're out in the, looking at beautiful mountains. It's kind of the same thing. You hear stuff and you're just like, this, videos don't do it justice.
Yeah.
Pictures.
Like being out in
don't
the
do
desert and
justice.
seeing the sunrise or the sunset. Like you take a picture of it, but
Even
it's
MP3
it's
doesn't do it
just
justice.
not the same. Yeah, you
Yeah.
lose some of that. And we tried to do our best over the last hour and a half to talk
recreate
about it.
energy.
You can't, And I think a lot of people had this similar experience, and I've talked to a couple of people who were at the show too, who follow the page or listen to the show, and it's the same thing. It's like we had that experience, and it's hard to explain, and you can't convey it. You can try as we've tried. Hopefully, we did a halfway decent job, but
I'm just glad that we don't need to look back and and say with an empty voice like, wow, what a lineup.
yeah, we were there, motherfuckers.
Like we don't need to say, wow, what a lineup.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was there. Like
we were there. And
we
it
were
was
there,
a great fucking lineup.
and it was a pristine lineup. Like I mean, it was incredibly well thought out. I mean, that was a masterclass of a concert.
It really was. So
Pretty cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. I think that usually we do songs of the week, and we still can do this, but I think we should just say like, what was your favorite part from the show? Like, what was the most emotional? What was the most just impressive?
Yeah.
However you want to word it.
All of
like,
them.
what kind of superlatives do you want to give, and who do you want to talk about real quick?
Do emotional, impressive, and wow.
Yeah,
Emotional,
I like
impressive.
Emotional,
Wow.
impressive, and wow.
That's really
I like
good.
that. So
That's
I'm-
why we have our producer here.
So, wow, I'm gonna start with the Joan.
Joan Jett.
Dude, when she came
Wild
out,
card.
like as soon as she started talking, I thought she was singing. Like her voice,
Yeah. And she could barely hold it together when
Just
she came out
talking.
talking. Yeah.
like I was
She's up there.
hard instantly, like. But that was my wow.
noticed
for
that. I
Sure.
noticed
My
that.
emotion was extremely high when Rush started playing fucking music. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even a huge Rush fan, and when they started playing, that was just so musically impressive to me. And then what was this? Wow, emotion and
Impressive.
Impressive.
Oh,
Did you just do? You did wow and
that
then
no, that was impressive. That was impressive.
That was impressive.
That was impressive.
Rush was my impression. Emotion was definitely Alanis singing "You Ought to Know."
Yeah.
That
That's
was
super
my
cool.
emotion one. That just hit heavy home.
Yeah.
You know, that just hit.
Perfect.
Just remembering so much.
Yeah.
This nostalgia just
Absolutely.
Flooding in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. Well, I think for me the biggest wow moment, I think it might be Stuart Copeland. I think it might be and for the biggest rush at the time, the biggest like that part, I think it really started the biggest wow point for me that really got the show going for me was Wolfgang when he came out and he played Van Halen. That was unbelievable,
awesome.
and it's hard for me to pinpoint one particular point of the show where the emotion was at its peak. A couple of them come to mind, but I think it's got to be when the Foo Fighters played Walk. That one for me. There were a couple different points prior to that where you started to get choked up a little bit, but I think with that it's a Foo Fighters song, and it just means something different now. It means something much more. Yeah, and just like when the guitar started, like I welled up. I was like, "Fuck!" Like they're playing Walk right now, and like I know like why they're playing it, who they're playing it for, and we're all here to hear it.
Heavy.
Yeah, it was crazy. What about you, Ethan?
So the most emotional part for me was definitely the beginning. When Dave came out and started talking, I mean, it was really hard.
Right after Hallelujah, right?
Right after Hallelujah, right when Dave started talking and like that first bit, like I couldn't really,
real almost.
I just like
You
kept
were tearing up.
I really was. I mean, it was honest tears. I kept thinking about my good buddies. Like it was the most emotional part of the beginning, and I think it was the build up. We had driven 17. We flew 1,000 miles. We drove 17 hours. Like there was so much build up.
It's like planes, trains, and automobiles.
I was
there.
just so,
dedication.
and it was emotional the whole time. But like once you got into a groove, like I mean, by the end of it, I was we were like teared out almost.
Yeah.
Like we still did, but like that beginning, like really got me. Like I was like leaning back because it's like don't look at me type of thing.
Yeah.
So I kept looking. Everybody was like, yeah, this gonna be great. I'm like, yeah, this gonna be great.
It's like driving 80 miles an hour into a brick wall. Like
It was.
that's promptly a seven.
Because
You know what I mean?
because Hallelujah is just a beautiful song, and then Dave was very emotional because it was the same thing for him, and there was so much anticipation for the hometown tribute.
Yeah.
So the most impressive performance and most impressive thing I think was Rufus Taylor.
Yeah.
Best of You. It was just beautiful. It was so strong. It was so good. I was really blown away by his drumming and his composure behind the kit. It was a long song. He looked just like Taylor, and he was just like he was floored as well. He couldn't believe that he was there playing with the Foo for Taylor.
Which is
that was amazing.
So crazy because he's so good. Like, how would he?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
And I think the wow for me. I mean, Stuart Copeland was one of my favorite positions, or one of my favorite parts of the show. But I think the best part was when everybody bowed at the end. Like when the Foo Fighters bowed, I love that it
That's a
was.
good point.
I love that it was like it was them minus Taylor.
Yeah.
Like it was like they had, and then they brought everybody else on stage, and it was like, wow, look at this crew, look at everybody, like the support. The admiration, the just like, because they were, when they bowed, like it was like they were thanking us, right? It was no like the whole time, the whole time, the whole show we were, the whole show we were very thankful that we were there. But then they threw it back to us, and they were like, "Thank you,
Well,
like
so many
you
of them
guys
were
made
thankful
this."
that they were there too.
Yeah, they were blown away the way that everybody like was present.
It's like this weird mix of
present
gratitude,
the entire time.
sadness, and mourning and celebration.
It wasn't like a concert ending. It was like a musical ending.
Yeah.
Like the whole company came out, took a bow. Nobody was individual.
Right.
Nobody was on top. Nobody
was
was
one
Exactly.
collective
Exactly. It was a
unit.
team. It was a
Closing
family.
band. Yeah. It was like
Yes.
That's a really
exactly.
good point.
just super.
Yeah, I was wowed. I was standing there. I was like, I can't believe it's over. Like, do I really need to go home? Like, yeah, I was floored.
Yeah.
Even after we were outside, I was just like, we're walking away.
Yeah, we're waiting for our Uber. We're waiting for an Uber, and we're just like,
Like, what if we missed something? Like,
it was so, yeah. And then the guy picked us up and like, what'd you guys see? And we're just like,
You don't even know, man.
He asked the question. And I was sitting in the front.
Dude,
I was like, I'm not even answer that.
Bands, and he's like,
Yeah.
what?
He's like, oh, it sounds like
they were all there.
He's like, it sounds like Woodstock, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like, it's way better than Woodstock.
yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I was. Oh man.
Oh,
I mean, I was in
talent that kid befriended.
Yeah,
Christ.
I know.
He was. I mean, like, you know, some musicians stay to themselves, and I think that, you know, Taylor did the opposite.
The
I mean,
opposite.
he was extremely outgoing. He wanted to meet his heroes. He wanted to play. He had a lot of side projects. Dave did the same thing. Like, Dave had all of his projects, and I love that part about music where people can kind of reach out and, you know, collaborate, and those other side bands are really special. We talk about super groups all the time, and we saw a lot of super groups.
The cool thing for me is Dave made a point at one point in the show, and he was out. I forget who he was introducing, but he was like, everybody backstage has told me since Taylor died. Dave's talking, and he's like, they told me that they talked to Taylor every day, and just like the fact that Taylor, something that was so important to him was to connect with the people that he cared about, and show his appreciation, his affection, his love for people. And I think that's something that can be applicable to everybody. It's like, if you got somebody that you care about, you gotta let them know, you gotta show them, and he did that, in his capacity to do that. It was just completely unmitigated, and it was inexhaustible, and that's something that's so impressive. And his spirit is just something that, you know, his spirit drove those performances.
Well said. Yeah. And I mean, it's
crazy.
Realizing how hard it is to connect with all the people that you love every day, and then
to still have gas in the tank.
The fact that he did it.
Yeah.
And he's this guy that is also as busy as a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just shows how much
it's unbelievable.
He cares about shit.
It's crazy.
It shows his morals.
Yeah.
And which is really important.
It was very special. Again, we're very thankful that we had the opportunity to go there. I know a lot of people. Opportunity is the right word. A lot of people. I mean, it was 17,000 people, I think,
out of hundreds of thousands that probably wanted to get tickets.
We got tons of DMs saying that, I wish I could have been there, and so we're not taking this for granted.
Lucky is underselling.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, we had there was no, like, we didn't pull any strings to get there. We just got lucky.
Got lucky.
Yeah, and thank God, God willing, that we were there. Yeah, they did a great job of not allowing people to scalp tickets for more. I mean, it was $100 to be there.
It was a show for the fans.
It was a show for the fans.
Yeah, you could have bought.
Which, like I said, I mean, if I passed away and I was in the Foo Fighters like that, I would want that as well. I want it to be open
for the fans.
I want it to be like an honest.
Been worth $400. People would have still. They would have installed
triple that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Jackson Brown played for the day for $400 at Red Rocks. I mean,
and he's still kicking.
Yeah, dude. So it was extremely special. We don't take it for granted. Yeah. And again, I mean, just like we talked about with Taylor, I mean, I am very happy that I'm in a room with 5 people that I love.
Yeah.
5 including me, I guess, 4 other people. But
very.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, exactly. Very
love
thankful.
yourself before you love others.
Whatever.
This podcast is about you.
I'm just happy I'm here with you guys. Be able to do this. I mean, we also had our birthdays the day after. Yesterday. 28 today. And shoot, like I said, just very thankful for this time in my life.
Yeah. I totally agree. And also thankful for everyone that's chosen to stick around and listen to this episode. And all love.
Fuck yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Such a coincidence, too, because my birthday was like 2 months ago.
Big coincidence.
My birthday is 2 months from now.
Damn. My birthday was this year. That's a hell of a coincidence.
Whoa, dude.
That shit's crazy.
1 in 365 chance.
Yep. What are the odds?
Every time that Ethan talks, I always stop because he's such an old man that he must be saying something.
Yeah. Got to get the ARP card.
That's what we call wisdom, guys.
Yeah, wisdom.
Please import
wisdom. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, respect your elders, especially Ethan, because he's old as fuck.
Yeah. What do you say we get out of here, guys?
I think it's time we wrap up. There's going to be no songs of the week because,
you got 53 of them. Look up the set list.
You have the set list to look up. like I said, we are going to post something really cool on Patreon that is going to have a lot of the live performances that we videoed.
Yeah.
We pulled out our phones for basically all the songs, but all the ones that we thought were special, and that was pretty much everyone. So we'll have some exclusive content on there. It's $2, $5, $10 to be a part of that. Yeah. Please consider, because we have to pay our producer because he's doing a really damn good job. We had
he's
people
expensive.
filling up our wine glasses. Yeah, he's expensive and he wants a raise.
Yesterday.
He wants a raise. He's moving houses in Long Beach.
Yeah.
We're all grinding out here.
It's a tough gig out here, but hey, you can help lighten that load.
Yeah, you can. So follow the show notes. Follow the link in the bio.
Do what you feel.
It costs nothing to you.
Yeah, exactly. So if we give you a little bit of joy, but again, that's
the show.
That is the show.
Yeah.
That's Taylor Hawkins.
What would you say? It's like a shitty cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Skip the coffee. It's bad for you.
Exactly. Don't develop a caffeine dependency. Develop a Grunge Bible podcast.
As my friend Logan would say, like, I lose $2
in stimulant as a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
You lose $2 on the couch every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every day.
So, again, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Chris, Adam, thank you. Drew, Connor, thank you.
The whole gang. We're all here.
Top patrons.
Thanks.
And again, shout out to Taylor Hawkins for being one of the best drummers of all time.
Cheers to Taylor.
Taylor Hawkins forever, baby.
Let's raise a glass. Rest in power. One of the best drummers of all fucking time. Taylor Hawkins.
Take care, everybody. Be good.